Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1657, written by Dependent Lion 4812, The Glitch at Mormon Temple. I was driving on the DC Beltway and came around the curve near the Mormon Temple. If you know the Beltway, you probably know what curve I'm talking about. I was in the left-hand lane, traffic was super light, and I was going 65 just cruising. On my left was the same safety barrier that, in this particular curve, blocks your view of what is about 50 feet in front of you if you're in the left-hand lane. So I can shoot around this bend, and the left-hand lane was completely dead stopped. No other lanes were, and every other lane was completely moving just fine at 65 miles per hour as well. It was just this lane. I had just looked down at my radio, right as I took this curve, and when I looked up, there was a whole line of cars not 50 feet in front of me that had just stopped. I slammed on my brakes, but I knew there was nothing I could do. I was going way too fast and there was not enough space. I legit saw my life flash before my eyes. I thought about my boyfriend waiting for me and me never showing up. I thought about my friends. I thought about my dog waiting for me at home. I thought about how sad my parents would be when they got the call. I thought about my brothers and my nephew I was never going to meet. And then I jerked the steering wheel to the right. And I swear to you, I passed through the stopped car. Passed through it. Yeah, I did turn the wheel, but I would have still hit the car. The left side of my car essentially passed through the back side of a stopped car. I didn't feel anything. It simply felt like one moment I was about to hit, and the next I was in the right lane. Like a glitch. I made it through. My car was fine. I didn't hit, and I turned off my radio for the rest of that drive. I was shaking like a leaf, and I even started crying. Shook me up real bad. I also remember pulling the steering wheel, but I remember it not feeling like it was me. It felt like a force was pulling it for me. Call me crazy, but crap like this is why I believe in God. I think my guardian angel pulled that wheel for me and let me pass through that car. Case file 1657, The Glitch at Mormon Temple. In cases of quantum immortality, does our subconscious sometimes shield our conscious mind from the trauma of remembering their own death by constructing these scenarios where instead of thinking that you're ready to die, you believe through this memory that is fictional, created by our subconscious, that you were saved by a guardian angel or maybe an abrupt move by your own instincts or reflexes? I think there's validity to that hypothesis, even though I do believe guardian angels exist because of interactions between multiple people, so it can't just be a false memory. But in these cases, I think sometimes we literally just construct it in our minds. We die and we don't want to remember that death because, imagine the psychological trauma from that. There are people that die via quantum immortality and their minds don't shield them from it at all. They remember every gruesome, grisly detail about that event. I can't imagine how that would impact you moving forward. No matter if you understand about glitches or the multiverse, whatever, if you remember your own death, that would drive you mad. It would drive me mad, there's no doubt about that. Case file number 1658, written by Jessamine, The Second Breakfast. I live with my parents. My mother leaves for work every day at 6 a.m. and returns at 3 p.m. Today she came back at 10 a.m. I talked to her and asked her why she came back earlier. She told me that she managed to get off early and that she would start making second breakfast soon. I said, "Okay, call me when you're done." After about 2 hours of waiting, I realized that I couldn't hear any sounds from the kitchen. And I always hear them when someone is cooking something. So I went to the kitchen. My mother was gone. I went through the whole house. My mother was nowhere to be found. I was alone at home. I thought it was strange because my mother always tells me when she goes out. For example, to the store or even to water the flowers in the garden. So I went back to my room and went back to playing my game. At 3 p.m., my mother came back, called me. She always does this. Said hello, and I asked, "Why did you leave the house and not tell me? And where were you anyway?" She replied, "Well, at work, Jessamine. I'm always at work until 3 p.m. I explained to her that she was home at around 10, that I talked to her, that she even told me she was going to make second breakfast. She explained to me that she wasn't. We talked about it for a while, and then my mother decided that I had simply mixed up the days. But that's not possible. She was at home. I saw her and I talked to her. This isn't the first time something like this has happened to me. I'm sharing the story because it happened to me today. Anticipating the question, Why didn't you call your mom and verify it right away? We live in the mountains. My mother works on the Polish-Ukrainian border. There is no signal there. Calling is pointless. Case notes for file 1658. The Second Breakfast. So, Second Breakfast, a Hobbit family? Pippin? What about elevensies, luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, supper? Does he know about those? Nah, all you get is an apple. Be happy with that. Now, as confusing as this must be for you, to bear witness to your mom when she shouldn't be there, probably multiverse side is my guess, I can only imagine it from the perspective of your mom, who is feigning like she doesn't really believe you. But if I was a father who had a son and I came home and he told me that there was someone that looked like me in the kitchen saying they're going to cook dinner or whatever, or second breakfast, I would be very concerned, let's just say, and I would start to barricade the doors and windows, bulletproof everything. You need to protect your family, right? And I'm sure your mom felt the same way. Even if she doesn't believe it's supernatural or anything like that. Again, sometimes humans are the greatest danger we face, not demons or monsters. So yeah, I hope your mom feels okay now. Case file number 1659, written by Thrifty Gal 177, The Campsite Clock. Summer 2011. In the car was me, 19, my sister, dad, and stepmom. We were on our way to a campsite. We had other family joining us, my uncle and Nan both arriving separately. Called us saying they were setting off. Did we need anything from the shops, and to let us know their arrival time. We were over halfway there. They would be arriving about 3 hours after us. We carried on driving, switched radio stations, and went through a tunnel. When we came out, the phone was ringing again. It was my Nan asking where we were, kind of relieved that she had got hold of us. My Nan and uncle had already arrived at the campsite? My dad said, "Oh, so you're already there. Save us a pitch then." And my Nan responded, "Where have you been if you're still on your way?" The conversation didn't make sense. My dad got frustrated and said, "What do you mean, where have we been? You just spoke to us." My Nan told us we'd been calling you because we couldn't get hold of you. My stepmom pointed to the time on the radio and about 4 hours had passed. 4 hours had passed in 30 seconds. My dad ended the call with my Nan and for a moment we were silent. My sister said, "What's going on?" My dad said the time must have changed when we changed the radio station and our family was playing a dumb joke. Our phone showed time had passed. Again, silence. We arrived, briefly spoke about it with family, and ignored it. We have spoken about it maybe 2 or 3 times. My dad is either convinced we went through a time vortex, got abducted, or we were jokingly substanced by our stepmom. She's a general practitioner. My stepmom says we must have got times wrong, or at worst had some shared delusions or amnesia. Case also file 1659, The Campsite Clock. I think your dad was most likely correct. A space-time vortex, or just the space-time portal as we like to call it here. And the key note, this happened inside a tunnel, so you wouldn't be able to see the obvious shift in the position of the sun, the brightness, the angle, the color gradient of the sky. All that stuff within 4 hours would change quite a bit, and would be very obvious it happened. In this case, you don't have any video evidence in case you were filming. There's less, just words spoken to each other and a clock that says something is wrong. So you all know something happened, but you can't prove it. So if I was the government and I was testing weird technology like this, this is how I would do it. In a tunnel where people would not have any idea that anything happened or no way to demonstrate it to others. Just a story. So my guess is, this is government experimentation. Now time for the joke of the day. What is red and bad for your teeth? A brick. Yes, if it comes right at your face and hits your teeth, that's really bad. Dodge if you can. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.